We're sitting here inside the office of John Hunt. You're going to meet this guy in a minute. Great guy. We got a lot in common. First of all, he's an Air Force veteran. Remember that one. But John, thanks for doing the interview today.
Thanks, Bob. I'm so excited to talk with you and my fellow veterans about some of the issues that face them and in our community to make this a better place. Thank you.
I got my handy dandy notes here for John. And there's going to be some information towards the end of the interview here, or conversation, that you're going to want to listen to. It's going to be very important and very helpful, not only for you, but for the entire Las Vegas Valley. But before we start, John and I have something in common. I went to Plymouth High School in Michigan, and you have some friends from there.
Yeah, I'm really blessed. I'm a UNLV grad, but while I was attending UNLV, Scott Lorenz from Plymouth was at the hotel school, and he and I, we were both in student government, but we bonded. We have a friendship for life. But one of our big hobbies, right, that he did, because his dad owned the Mayflower Hotel, so in order to promote the hotel, they did a balloon. And it's got a picture of the Mayflower ship on it. And he and I have been flying hot air balloons all over the world.
I went to school with Scott Lorenz, and you had one more.
Oh, Paul Szilagyi and Nick Schultz.
And Nick Schultz.
Right.
Now, John, you've been an attorney. Oh, first of all, you've been a Las Vegas resident for how long?
Since 44 years, 1976. After I got out of the Air Force.
Oh, geez, right out of the way?
Yeah, I was enlisted, finished my enlistment at Pease Air Force Base. I was in the 509th Bomb Wing, and that was the bomb wing that dropped the atomic bomb.
Oh, nice.
I always remember that so much about being there. That was my second assignment. But outside the gate, they had a bronze mushroom cloud. And if you remember what the Strategic Air Command's motto was peace was our profession.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So it was TAC, MAC, and SAC, right?
Yeah, there you go.
Right. So
you were stationed at Nellis for a while.
no, well, yeah, I take that back. When I got out of the Air Force, I did a short stint as a reservist.
Oh, okay.
And I was at the what is the Air Force CSI, the military?
OSI.
OSI, right. I was in OSI. I was assigned to OSI.
Excellent.
So,
yeah, when I was in the Air Force, that always scared me a little bit. But then I realized, hey, wait, I'm working for the base commander here. What am I worried about?
Right,
Still like that, those letters.
yeah, OSI, that's right.
That's great.
It's so funny because we always think about CSI. So
Yeah, exactly.
OSI, yeah.
Now, when you were in from when to when?
Well, I'll give you a little background on that. I'm one of 6 kids of Betty and Francis Hunt. My dad worked in the shoe shop. My mom worked in the textile mill. We had 6 kids, but my dad would say to us all the time that remember the 90-day rule. And the 90-day rule, he said to us, you'll be doing one of 3 things when you graduated from high school. In 90 days, you'd 1, be in college. Then he said, sorry, I have no dough. 2, you'd have a job, or 3, you'd be in the military. On the 91st day, I was on the airplane going to Lackland Air Force Base. But the Air Force was, without a doubt, for me, was the greatest thing I could have ever done in my life. It gave me discipline. It gave me a drive, motivation, and being enlisted. I remember I always used to say to my fellow airmen, and I ended up leaving as a sergeant, but I'd say, well, the Air Force, I never had a bad day being in the Air Force. But I also said it was like a womb. It was a place to grow, but not a place to stay. So, and I went to school every night that I was in the Air Force. I think every night. And, the Air Force was so great to me because if you go to school while you're in, it doesn't count against your GI Bill. So.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Right.
So I was on the GI Bill until my last semester of law school.
Wow.
Because of working hard. It's just, if you work hard, as my dad said, there's no such thing as luck. The harder you work, the luckier you get.
Yeah, you got to have skill to have luck.
Yeah.
And that takes hard work. Yeah, absolutely. Now, what was your job or your AFSC?
Well, that's an interesting story. originally I wanted to be a forward air controller,
Oh.
right? And that was going to be my AFC, but the Paris Peace Talks started, so they canceled my tech school, and then they asked me the greatest question in the world, and they said, "Do you know how to type?" And I said, "Yes." Probably saved my life, as well as gave me the greatest opportunity again for some kid from New England, from Brockton, and I was assigned to the Air War College.
That's sweet.
And I was the only airman in the building. So the best, and I worked for a colonel and a 2-star general, and best way to describe me, I was Radar Riley of the War College.
Perfect. They loved you.
Oh, I loved them.
Yeah, that's excellent.
Yeah. So after a couple of years, right, the general said, "Well, what do you want to do?" And I was going to school at the time in Auburn. At Troy State University, and I said I'd like to get closer to home, and that's how I then went to the 509th Bomb Wing in Pease Air Force Base in New Hampshire, which was, I grew up. I was born in Massachusetts, but I grew up in Manchester, so I was then in only 20 miles from the University of New Hampshire, and every day I'd drive in to Pease, and then I'd go to school at night. And
Nice.
then when I got out, I came out to Las Vegas because my wife's dad, who had been shot down over Hanoi, he was a prisoner of war for 7 years,
Whoa.
and I met her while he went through the War College. So when it came time for me to get out, right, I said, you haven't been around your dad that much, and and I got to meet all the prisoner of wars because the high ranking that came to the War College. And I always remember that the prisoner of wars came home with basically kind of two attitudes: either a angry revenge, or they were going to live and have fun every day that the rest of the time they were on the planet. Well, her dad was the latter.
Oh, good.
And super guy. And I said, "Well, you haven't been around your dad, so I'll try this Vegas place." And I came out here, didn't know a soul, went to UNLV, and Las Vegas is the greatest place on the planet. What it has done for me and the opportunities is beyond my dreams.
Yeah. And to be able to keep that feeling during this COVID time, that's remarkable.
Well, I believe, it's so funny because I believe in us, not me. And US, as I told you earlier, if someone said, "Who am I?" First, I'm an American. Second, I'm a Nevadan. Third, I'm in Las Vegas. And, if they said, and then I'm a part of a political party, but that's just because we have to choose which extreme we can tolerate the best. So.
I love that answer. That's a great one. Okay, let's jump into your 36 years of being an attorney.
Wow.
Where'd you go to school at for your law school?
I went to the University of San Diego.
Oh.
Yeah, in San Diego.
Too bad they always had bad weather there. That's a shame.
Yeah, and it's so funny because prior to going to law school, again, I've worked my way through everything. I've been blessed sometimes with a hand up, not a handout, and that's a good thing. But prior to, I had to save a little dough, and I wanted to use my accounting degree. I graduated with an accounting degree, so I worked at the Nevada Gaming Control Board at the most exciting time in the history. That was during that time. That was the only time a major hotel was closed. The Aladdin. I worked on all the audits. My audit team and the people around me. We were. If you've seen that movie Casino, we were that time. We uncovered the skim at the Stardust, Fremont, and the Hacienda. So having been in Nevada's quintessential cog of our community, and having that experience really was phenomenal for me.
Oh,
and then I went to law school.
That's huge history, though. I mean, that's outstanding.
Yeah.
Who hasn't seen Casino? I mean, some people have seen it 4 or 5 times or more.
Yeah, they were weighing the coin light on the silver dollars.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was kind of ingenious. What was going on is when the audits start back in the old days, because if you're a part of the Gaming Control Board, you don't need a warrant. You just put your badge down. it'd start the count, and then we would go in, and the way the slot machines work is they sat on a pedestal, and then as the coins filled up, it would be diverted to a bucket. The bucket, at once a day, is taken out during the count. They have the hard count there, and they'd weigh it. Well, what the interesting guys were doing is they only on silver dollars, they fixed the machine so it would weigh silver dollars light by about 10%. Then you say, how did they get it out of the casino? They put it on the floor like a bank, like this credenza, and then they'd tell the change girls if someone needed a change for 100 for silver, right? You do it, and there was a slot on the side. It all looked good until it didn't tie out to the cage.
Whoops.
And then we went in and did the weigh thing, and it was off.
Wow.
So.
Wow. And you're still here to talk about it.
Oh, yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love that. Now, you've been here practicing law, and your experience it's a book. I mean, you've got a ton of experience helping people and being here for the people of Las Vegas and the whole Las Vegas Valley.
Yeah, I've been blessed. My dad used to say, you know, what'd you do today? What'd you do today to make this a better place? You know, what did you do to help somebody make it different? And I've been blessed because I've worked on every case you can imagine using my business acumen, but Wayne Newton NBC libel trial, worked on that, worked on the largest, that was the largest libel verdict in the history of the United States when it went down. Worked on the sale of the MGM to the marina to the MGM. I represented Tony Marnell and the Rio on the acquisition of property on the Strip. I have been a prosecutor, administrative prosecutor. I have argued cases before the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, between the Nevada Supreme Court and Nevada Appeals Court, and I'm admitted to the United States Supreme Court. I don't think there's a discipline that I don't know or haven't been exposed to. And that's really what, you know, like right now, I'm running for judge because first my dad said at the end of your time, give back to the community, use your experience. And I'm kind of old school in the sense that, you know, I believe that a judge position should be a capstone, not a stepping stone. That you're supposed to use all that. So many times we have judges that can do you more harm because they don't have experience, right? And they learn on the job. And those people can do as much damage to you than someone stealing your money or mugging you.
Yeah.
And it's really important that people step up as they grow older and hopefully wiser,
Yeah.
and to use that experience to help the community.
Well, you know, that well-rounded approach and your philosophy and the things we've talked about, and even here right now, who better qualified to be a judge than you?
Well, I think there are people that are probably more qualified, but I am qualified.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what it is. It, you know, I know some people that are qualified and they'd be great judges, but they're not going to take on that responsibility.
Oh, sure.
You know, and so I really think that what's really important to have a good judge, and we're going to talk about this later too, and how you deal with everyone, including my fellow veterans, is you want somebody to have a breadth of experience, right, that gives them the ability, whether it's their personal history, their community history, their legal experience, so they can judge people with empathy, not sympathy.
I like that.
And
that's so smart.
yeah, and it's kind of so basic, but if you have candidates or judges who don't have that experience, they don't have that breadth of experience, they haven't done all these different things, you know. And I told you jokingly, I think, you know, I'm like Forrest Gump of Nevada. I really have been in all the most critical places, times, development of Las Vegas, and practice in all these different areas, you know, whether it's deposition, whether it's administration, whether it's injunctions, whether it's criminal law, because I also, for 10 years, have been a pro tem judge. That means I sit in when someone isn't available, both in the justice court and the municipal court. And that has given me invaluable criminal experience.
Wow.
You know,
Yeah.
and also learning how to treat people with dignity and respect. You know, for me, like when I go to the bench, the first thing I tell everybody, I tell them who I am, you know, John Hunt, but I also tell them when I call your name, please, if I mispronounce it, tell me how to pronounce it, because this is about respect. If you respect me, you know, I want to respect you, and we can develop a relationship. Today, what happens 90% of the time, I tell them, you're going to decide. You're going to decide what happens. And what really happens in like anything, you know, I'm going to look and see if you have a book of business, okay? And what's really important, right, for veterans and for everyone for that matter, is have a judge that has the breadth of experience in order to properly be able to hear the cases, you know? And we've gone through all my credentials and whatnot, but, you know, I think that what's really important is that you have someone that understands veterans, because this is an issue near and dear to my heart, the Veterans Court, so that veterans know, as I think I've said, you know, in the district court now, it's very rare to have a veteran sit on the bench. I don't even know if there's more than one or two. And so that it's so critical that if you have a veteran who has the experience, the education, to sit on the bench, so that if you're a veteran and you become before them, they really do understand you, because it's about empathy, not sympathy. It's like one of the things with I've done some experience being a pro tem judge with, you know, handling cases where we have a veterans court, and that takes into consideration PTSD in those situations. When you don't have a veteran sitting there understanding these issues, it's really hard to get the right result. And so that's really important for me. And, you know, again, what I do is I think it's really important that someone doesn't go by, you know, this is a rote thing. You do this, you get this. You do this, you do. No, you have to look at the whole person. You have to look at their book of business. You have to say, if you don't have a book of business, chances are I'm going to exercise a lot of discretion. If you have a book of business, then you're going to have to be held accountable for your problems and your wrongs and your injustices. But you look at the whole person. What's the nature of what they did? If it's a business thing, which is really important, you want to have a judge that has a business degree. I have an accounting degree, you know, and I have had small businesses, and I worked with my dad hanging windows and doors. So I understand what it is to be a businessman, and people, you know, stiffen you for after you've done the work.
Yeah.
And the same thing, I've also been involved in extremely complex business commercial litigation, and that same thing. So if you, whether you're a vet or anybody, you need to have judges that have that experience. It's like I said, it should be a capstone, not a stepping stone.
That's a great line right there. I like that. Absolutely. All right, we've covered a lot with you.
Thank
I mean, this is a great story. I'm sure there's going to be more. And I'm pretty sure we're going to be talking again.
Mm-hmm.
You did some pro bono work for years, representing the people that can't afford attorneys.
Yeah, and I think that's another thing, because, you know, it's like my dad said, it's about giving someone a hand up, not a handout. And I think that being blessed with having gotten a law degree, that I have a responsibility. Whether someone calls me on the phone, I'm not one of those, I'm not talking to you till you give me no, I'll always engage, and I'll say, hey, what's your problem? Maybe I can't help you, maybe I can, but I've also done lots of years of pro bono work, and I usually represent people who can't afford it in both, lots of times in family, domestic cases, but I don't just stop at the district court. You know, we've had a commitment that people do appeals too, that they have a righteous appeal, but because they're an improper person, they're never going to get through that system. So I've done appeals on a pro bono basis as well to the Nevada Appeals Court. And I'm really proud of the fact that two of those, both times the courts agreed with me and reversed the decisions. Because usually you're representing the people who didn't win because they didn't have the skills or the ability to do that. And you have an obligation as a person. You know, my dad, long time, gave me the riddle of life. He said, just remember this: you know better than anybody else, and nobody's better than you. Figure it out, and you'll have a good life. And for me, that was really important because that's about justice, right and wrong, good and bad. You learn those tenets, and you can, try to be productive in our society. And that's what I try to teach my kids, the same thing.
John, the nice thing is you're running for judge. We've been talking about that and how your feelings are. People, when they see this, they're going to say, that's the person I want behind the bench. And what was your thought process to become a judge?
Well, again, for me, as a young attorney, when I was growing up, the only people that ran for judge were people that had 20, 25 years of experience. Because again, it was a capstone, not a stepping stone. And again, I've said it, I think that what's really important is to use the things that you've been blessed with, the talents, your experience, to make this a better place, make this a better community, and I'm going to try to do that. If I'm given the opportunity, it'd be a tremendous honor. I know that the only people I serve are the citizens of the state of Nevada, and to make sure that everyone's treated with dignity and respect, and to use my knowledge so I'm not learning on the job. I'm job ready. I'm ready to go, and that's the reason I'm doing it. And I always laugh because my dad would say, when someone's running for judge, you really should only ask them one question. He goes, is it a pay raise or a decrease? If it's a pay raise, don't talk to him anymore, move on.
That's funny. Oh, that's great. Well, obviously you're very well respected in the community and beyond. The organizations that have endorsed you, that looks like the who's who of Nevada, really. There's a lot of them. You've got a lot of people behind you and organizations.
Well, I think that those are all blessings because, what I've tried to do in my life, whether I don't care who it is, whether I met the president or I'm talking to the guy that outside that's helping me, with getting rid of my stuff that I put out every week, is that I think it's really important that those are about relationships. And if you build relationships, every single person you meet, you try to build a positive relationship. Yeah. And if you do that, it comes back to you in gold. All these years that I've been in this community, those endorsements, I think, hopefully exemplify that they knew, whether it was the police, they endorsed me, whether it's the vets, they endorsed me, whether it is the building trades, whether it is the firemen, all these people know me because I've been in the community. And I think, and I honestly pray that they looked at everything I've done during my breadth of work and said, if I had to be judged by somebody, I'd want to be judged by someone hopefully like me.
Right. And
that's why I think that. And, as the people in the community, those are all one relationship at a time. And I've been blessed. And I've been blessed because if you look at those people, they're on both sides of the aisle. Yeah. They're on both sides of the aisle. They're independents, they're Republicans, they're Democrats. And I'm most proud of that. I am really most proud of that because that's what we need in this country. Back to us.
Yeah, exactly.
And a judge should be us.
Yeah.
He shouldn't be, slanted one way or the other, And I hope I have that experience and I get that opportunity to use that experience and those talents for people in Clark County.
Well, John, one of the things that I really, really like is your character, your morals. To sit here and tell me what you told me today about being that judge and that kind of person, that's phenomenal. And I can tell you that the entire organization of the Voice of the Veteran, we are thoroughly impressed with you, and we wish you nothing but the best because you're the guy we want to see in that position. It's absolutely the best. So we're going to end on that. John, thank you so much.
Thank you. And I just want to say I am so humbled by the fact that just to have the opportunity to state my case to my fellow veterans, thank you for that opportunity.
Our
I
pleasure.
will always remember it. And, you know, everybody out there, George Washington said it best: a country that does not honor its veterans is doomed for failure. Honor your vets. Make this country live up to its promise because of the people who have always done right by us, that have been on the parapets, who picked up a gun for me, men, women. That's what this country wouldn't be here but for the vets. So for all of you out there, thank you for your service.
There you go, vets. That's the man right there. Get out and vote, and remember John Hunt.
Department 18.
Department 18.
In Clark County.
Well, there you have it. We're going to follow him, and we'll give you updates as we go along. But thanks for joining us, and until next time on Voice of the Veteran, we'll see you. Have a great day.